Well, all the previous talks were so good, I'm getting kind of nervous. So, okay, well, I call my presentation Soy Sauce and the Art of National Branding. So, I'm going to take you through a journey of the Kikkoman soy sauce and tell you how it, how it relates to national branding. So, imagine if you're not Thai, if you're from Europe or something, you walk into this Asian store in a European Asian store market. What soy sauce would you buy? The majority of Europeans buy the Kikkoman, even though it is about 3-4 times more expensive than average soy sauces in the market. And I guess everyone can guess why Kikkoman is one of the chosen one. It's high quality. It has this perceived image of being natural. It always tastes the same. Doesn't matter how many bottles you buy. And you have this sense of familiarity. You know what you get. So these are the three factors. The perceived image, the consistency, and the familiarity that built a good brand of Kikkoman, and actually with any other products. The Kikkoman is actually also the face of Japan, as much as we don't really think about it, because we see more maybe Toyota, Honda, Sony, all these bigger brands. But the soy sauce is actually a part of many people's life when they cook. So brands help people make decisions, whether for products or country. But let's talk about products first. When you talk about sneakers, what do you think about? I guess.
Baja.
Yeah. Well, that too. So it's possibly Nike or Adidas. And of course, if you think about the MP3 player, you would think of the iPod first, because they're one of the strongest branded product in the world at the moment. But for most people, these decisions nowadays are made by emotions, not by technical performance anymore. So this familiarity, consistency, and this perceived image all communicate your emotions. So I don't know if people have noticed nowadays, but advertisements for cars nowadays is not about how it performs. Take a look at this one. Men talk about women, sports, and cars. Women talk about men inside a sports car. I don't know about the what's the horsepower, like the wheelbase length and whatever. They don't really talk about that anymore. It's all about the good image, this shiny car with these like shiny rims and all that stuff. So it's all attacked. Oh, well, let's not say attack, but it all speaks to your emotions. And if you want to buy it, if you can afford it, you buy it. But what about national branding? What's the difference between branding a product and a company and branding a nation? Well, there are some similarities and some differences. When you talk about a nation, it consists of many factors that are fluid, like politics, like traditional dances, like this new dance, I don't know what it's called, and also like we have these new cultures emerging, like Sagoy and Wan. I don't even understand what it is. And also this fixed gear culture, bike culture, in which Dale will talk about after this actually. So a nation consists of many fluid factors. It's not like a product, We don't have Steve Jobs to say, hey, the new Thailand will have democracy 2.5, or freedom of press 4.2, or we'll have anti-Sagoy firmware. So we don't have this, and I don't think any of our prime ministers in the past, sorry, have been able to do it. So that's why it's kind of hard to brand a country, I think, because our culture is so fluid. But let's take a look, why do we need branding for a nation? I guess mainly it's because of investment, tourism, and export, and that's what it has been in the past. But like I said, things have changed. You can't really talk about these numbers and all that stuff anymore. I think in the end, it's about targeting into people's emotion and how do you put yourself, how do you give this perceived image to the people. So let's see how all the steps that it takes to build a good brand. So first, I think we should find a cultural trait to brand. And I think what touches people the most is food. So again, I want to bring it back to Kikkoman, the soy sauce. That's why I think the sushi. Japan has been really good at doing national branding. It's been quite subtle, but it's actually quite strong. the image we have about Japanese food is simple and natural. As you can see in sushi, sashimi, you know the ingredients. There's wasabi, there's soy sauce, there's rice, there's fish. That's it. But people still love it, even though it's really simple. Kikkoman does exactly the same. It reinforces image of simplicity of Japan. I don't know if you've seen this ad. It's mainly in the UK and mainland Europe. I think it's really nicely done. How it simplified, how it makes you feel that this is you get what you buy and you get what you see. But it's not just Japan that did this. A lot of countries have been doing this. It's just maybe it's not been formalized into a process. If you think of Japan, the US or Germany, you probably have some image of those countries in mind already. I lived in Finland for 3 years, and I really admired the foreign minister of Finland. His name is Alexander Stubb. He wrote a lot of articles about branding Finland in Blue Wings magazine, the Finnish airline. And he said, first and foremost, national branding is about projecting the image to the outside world. But secondly, it's about how we perceive ourselves. I think Thai people are really obsessed with how we want others to see us. We have these Thai dances, we have these Thai boxing, but we don't really admit that we have Sakoy and Kanbu. I was hearing how Woody was inviting the Kanbu singer to speak at his show and totally trash her, and I think it's not so nice. I mean, in the end, it sells, and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it looks maybe a bit explicit, but in the end, it's part of our culture. We cannot deny it. And I think the problem in Thailand is that we try to deny so many parts of the culture that we don't want others to see. And this is, I think, why we haven't been able to build a strong brand for the country yet. So what Alexander Stubb said was we have to embrace the positive and the negative of our culture to build a brand. So the positive he said about Finland was, let's say Nokia. I think that's how Finland is known for. Otherwise, do you guys know where it is? Most people don't. The design, of course, is quite strong. That's why I went to study there. And the sauna culture is quite strong too. And that's where it originated. The negative, maybe you don't even know about this because it's such a small country. So it has high suicide rate. The recent school shooting a year ago was quite bad. I think there were 2 school shootings actually by now. And the binge drinking. So, but he wrote this article in such a nice way. I can send it to you if you want to read it. That how Finland embraced it and how they admitted it was their fault and that things could be changed. And he also said every brand must be backed by a good story, true or false, good or bad. And I think this is really something that Thailand can learn from Finland, because you cannot not just promote the good things. You need to learn from your mistake, and people will appreciate it when you learn from your mistake. I also think Mr. Stubb himself is a good way to brand Finland. Maybe it was intentional or unintentional, I'm not sure, but he really did a good job during his 4 times as a foreign minister there. He shows project to the EU that Finland was a forward-looking country. It's a young country. It's less than 100 years old, and it doesn't have as much rich culture as the other continental European countries. So they have been building their nation on design. And again, this is speaking to the emotion of the people, giving this image of being a very forward-looking country. And I don't know if it was a coincidence, but I doubt it, that during the time that Alex Stubb was the foreign minister, Helsinki was voted the most livable city and the world design capital in 2010. And also, I'll just show you a small clip, which actually we cannot show on TED.com, so Finland was mentioned in, I think, at least 4 movies in the past, in 2 years during the time that Alex Stubb was in office. I'll just show you a quick.
I remember from your resume,
you seen this?
speak Finnish for someone very excited. Hey. Onpa hauska toinen suomalainen. Siitä lähti kun mä ottaa Amerikasta.
Men like you are the reason I left Finland.
So, and they dropped the word Finland in so many places, not just in movies, in magazines, and Monocle magazine is mentioned Finland in every single article. And you guys know Monocle magazine? Right, you should mention it here. It talks about international affairs and national policies and that sort of stuff, and design as well. And Finland is always in every single issue. So this leads us to the next step. All these movies, name dropping in the movies and in media. So to communicate and permeate that cultural trait. So let's go back to the soy sauce again. Let's get that. So you go to any restaurant I'm sure not just in Europe, in North America as well, that you see the kikkoman bubbles almost everywhere in Asian restaurants. I think this was a Spanish restaurant in Finland. And even in Finnish restaurants, they have the kikkoman soy sauce. I'm not sure if it's provided for free, but it's everywhere in most Asian restaurants anyway. So this is how they get, the shape of the bottle to be imprinted in your mind. And then when you go to a store, this is where the familiarity came from. That you see the same bottle and hey, let's just choose this one because all the Asian restaurants use it, and Asian restaurants must know what's the best soy sauce, which is not true. Or maybe true. It depends on the restaurant, I guess. But soy sauce is not the only thing that Japan did to brand itself. I think nowadays you can still see it, but I think 20 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, it was really prevalent in any Japanese restaurant to see this poster. Have you guys seen it? Who hasn't seen it? Raise your hand. You haven't seen it?
I have seen it before.
Really?
Yes.
It's in most restaurants in North America and Europe, I guess. In all Japanese restaurants. And it's of course made by Kikkoman. Other companies made it too, but Kikkoman made the most. No, it doesn't just show you what the food is, but it also teaches you the names of the food. Who doesn't know these words? And what's even more interesting is that I bet Europeans know these words, what fish they are. Let's say an English person would know these words, but not in French or Spanish or Italian, which is quite interesting how, even words like fish names, people can tell from these posters. But branding Japan is not just about its food, its other culture permeates everywhere in Thai society. As a kid, we have all these comics and all these cartoons. I'm sure you guys know it. And also, my girlfriends would have all these Hello Kitty. I had Kero because I was a boy. And also, it's electronics is everywhere. We use it everywhere. It's cars we use. So all these products in our lives, communicate that Japan is out there somewhere and it's inspiring. And they have good products, good technology. They have nice cartoons. And we all look up to Japan as like it was part of our lives, So this is how Japan has been branding itself in the past, I guess since World War II. Yes, again, this is the emotional part. We became familiar with Japanese culture, the music, the food, the technology. So Japan became really a part of things you see every day. So let's go back to the soy sauce. What else did I learn from it, and why did I choose it to be my main inspiration today? What I see Kikkoman does is that it understands its consumer quite well, and they are aware that the consumers are not so accustomed to Japanese culture or Japanese food. So they did a lot of things to basically educate the consumers. I think education is the key. They have so many campaigns. They have like probably 10 websites that promote umami or the fifth flavor and all that. That could be another topic completely. So they have these, and they have advertisement as well that speaks to practically universal audience.
Umami is Japanese for delicious. Umami is savory. Umami is subtle. Umami is in every drop. Kikkoman.
So you can see the advertisement used really sensual images, very close up, shallow depth of field to create this really soft and really just emotional, provoking images to help you reach the brand easier. So, and they also try to, if you notice actually the food was nationless, I think. You can't really tell where the food came from. So they want to permeate or to create the idea that Kikkoman can be used with anything. So this is their even bigger campaign, which is really interesting, I think. Oops, the words should come before. So what Kikkoman did and what we can learn from it is that they put the consumer or the audience in the equation. I'll give you a quick example. I did consulting for a publishing firm. They publish textbooks, and on the shelf they divide the books into subjects. So you get math grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4 on one shelf. And what you notice when you go to the store to do the research is that the students have to go from one shelf, get the grade 1, go to the next shelf and get the science grade 1, next shelf and get the English grade 1. So I went back to the company and said, hey, why don't you actually arrange the books by grade? So we had to understand the user behavior and how they go to the shelf and buy it. So in the end, they put the shelf like this: math grade 4, science grade 4, English grade 4, and Thai grade 4 on one shelf. And their sales went up considerably that year. It's just one, shift of your mentality, point of view, and then you will understand your consumer better, and then you you increase your sales. So same thing, Kikkoman did the same. It's not just about communicating, they also did something that was quite unique. And I'd like to take it to the next step, which I call to innovate. Because our culture changed through time with globalization, and because people from the different cultures can reach more products around the world. Products need to be a bit homogenized, or at least product needs to address to the local culture that it's selling to. So you have the Kikkoman, but you guys also know this one. If you live here, you must do, right? Healthy Boy brand. Thanks for both. I love the brand. So if you live here, you're probably using the one on the right. But what's the difference? I think I'll show you a short clip from the Joy Luck Club. Tell us what different in culture.
Should a bride do with a fast learner?
She brings the husband, the boyfriend home.
Was when Rich criticized my mother's cooking, and he didn't even know what he had done. As is the Chinese cook's custom, my mother always insults her own cooking, but only with the dishes he serves with special pride.
This dish not salty enough. No flavor. Too bad.
That was our cue to eat some and proclaim it the best she'd ever made.
You know, listen, all this needs is a little soy sauce.
So you can see that different culture has different, kind of mentality about these things. And if you can address the demand or the behavior of the user in that culture, then you will succeed a lot better than others. And that's what Kikkoman did. So with the Healthy Boy soy sauce, I think it's designed to be used in a wok. Because when we cook, we have this, riyok. And in English, this word doesn't exist. Not exactly. But anyway, so you put it in the wok. So that's why the bottle is shaped that way. You flip it upside down and you shake it. And the wok is big, right? So it doesn't really matter if you spill or not. You're probably not going to spill. But at the table, it's different. And the Kikkoman is designed for that. It has two holes, and if you put your finger on one of the holes, less sauce comes out. So you can really control it, and then you can really use it on the table, which is where most Westerners use it, whereas we usually use it in the kitchen. So this is how the Kikkoman addresses the cultural issue, and this is why I think Kikkoman became really successful at making their products permeate in European and North American culture. Again, the emotional aspect. Okay, I'm running out of time now. Let's go quickly. I'm just gonna wrap up with examples that I think could be changed. So when you're designing something, you formalize what you learn with something else and you apply this to another thing in the design process. So, but I'll wrap up here is that we understand the audience and we build familiarity, consistency, and positively perceived image through emotion. And how can we do that for Thailand? Just to review quickly. First, we can standardize the organization of Thai names. I mean, Pattaya. Let's do something about it. Or Suvarna Bhumi. We can do something about Suvarna, make it sound because when a taxi goes when a guy goes to a taxi, I want to go to Suvarna Bhumi. The taxi's like, what? We can also standardize the food name. I've seen fish tom yum gung, I don't know what that means. And kai ho kai. I mean, how can a foreigner understand the difference between these two? So we can also rethink national flag. We share the color with so many other countries, like France, which has really strong brands. France, Russia, France, and the Netherlands. These are some good examples of national branding based on the flags. The Swiss is one of the best, and the Germans as well. So you see all the colors that they use. It's quite consistent. You see a logo, you know exactly what it is, what country it is. Fourth is the paradigm shift of culture, that we need to think about heritage preservation as opposed to cultural progression. But we can do both, actually. Let's not touch about it. It's going to be too long. And if you look at the Ministry of Culture of other countries, you can see how much they have progressed even just through their logo. And it shows the mentality of how they want to progress the culture. I don't want to talk Thai Ministry of culture here. So I think in the end it's about Thai people need to reflect more about our culture and embrace the good and the bad. I think that's what's really missing here in order to build a good brand. And we may not have nice cars like the Germans do, or nice other things like other countries do. Nice innovation like the Germans do, but at least I think we have the healthy boyhood brand. But in the end, I think it's just to make Thai products more accessible, Thai products and Thai culture more accessible to others by understanding how the others see us, both the good and the bad. Thank you.